Good afternoon, stars! Today I opened the little "this is what we're talking about today" calendar on Rising Star, and I actually laughed out loud because it says what to do when you don't feel like doing anything. That's what the training's about today. And I laughed because I've actually been feeling like that a little bit. Not so much anymore, but in January a little bit, and then the first of the month I tend to kind of feel like that. I think it's because either like you're pushing so hard for a goal or you're trying so hard for a goal, whether it's the incentive trip or, getting the numbers in before the end of the month, and then the next day you just kind of crash and you just feel like, oh, I don't feel like doing anything. And that's one of the hardest parts about not being employed by someone and not clocking in. There isn't anything to make you do something. It has to come from somewhere. And I don't know if you've ever felt that way in your Scentsy business. Maybe you haven't felt that way. Maybe if you haven't felt that way, maybe save this video and then come back and watch it when you do feel that way. Maybe you'll never feel that way. I don't know. Everybody's wired a little bit differently, but I'm thinking because Laura thought that was an important topic to talk about, that maybe other people feel that way too. I really do think it's kind of a side effect of not having a boss, of you have to be 100% motivated 100% of the time. Self-motivated 100% of the time. And there are certain things like incentive trips or challenges or things at the end of the month that help you to self-motivate, but those things aren't always there, or when they're over, or when we're just exhausted, it can be hard to feel like doing anything. Now, along with that, I think it's 100% okay to take a break, to take a day, to take a whatever you need to an extent to get refocused and get your passion back and your energy back and to want to feel like doing something. But the danger is in taking too long, because if you take too long, then you have to start all your momentum again, and sometimes that can be really difficult. Orville always uses the analogy of a merry-go-round, and when you have to get a merry-go-round started, thankfully we can all remember merry-go-rounds. What are the kids gonna do since they took merry-go-rounds out everywhere? Anyway, when you have to get it started, you have to run and run and run to get that merry-go-round spinning. And then once it's spinning, you can just kind of keep it going, because it has momentum. If you let it stop completely, you have to start all over. And that's what we want to avoid that in our Scentsy businesses. So it's okay to stand back and let it spin for a minute, but not too long. You got to keep pushing. So I know like one of my friends who was pushing for Africa pretty hard, the day after, February 1st, she just watched Netflix all day. She put on Facebook like, I'm just watching Netflix today. And I think that's okay. I think we all need that to an extent. But when it is time to get self-motivated again and find our passion again, what are some things that we can do? So I just have a couple tips for you today about that. And as always, if you have ideas and tips and want to share what you do to self-motivate, please put it in the comments, because we love learning from each other. I love learning from you. I know everybody else in the group loves learning from each other. And so please share in the comments. But the ideas that I thought of and what I tend to do when I find myself in that place is you could read a motivational book. There's tons of great books out there, and I talked about a couple on an earlier call, and those ones are great. And I've also heard of a couple more, and I'd be happy to get you more recommendations of what other Scentsy leaders are reading and what is inspiring them in their businesses. Watch a YouTube video, any, motivational YouTube video. I could watch Mel Robbins' 5-second video every single day. If I watched that video at the start of every day, I'd be like, yeah, I was created for something. I'm not going to hit snooze, you know, and you feel good and empowered. Mel Robbins is amazing. So watch her YouTube videos, or any of our other Scentsy speakers that we've had, Brene Brown, John O'Leary, Sally Hogshead is really good. Anybody who's going to kind of help motivate you. And that can take, 5 minutes, 5 to 20 minutes. Some of them are longer, but some of them are just 5 minutes. So that can help when you don't feel like doing anything. When I feel like I don't know what to do, or I don't really feel like doing anything, one thing that I always like to do is make samples. So you're always going to need samples, right? And so sometimes it's hard to find the time to make samples when you're so busy, doing whatever else. And so if you just need to do something, every day you need to do something for your Scentsy business. And maybe if you don't feel like making calls or booking parties, or maybe you don't feel like doing that kind of stuff that day, make some samples. You're going to need them in the future. And for me personally, I find it always kind of gets me more in the excited mood, because then I'm like, oh, I have all these samples ready. Oh, I can share these samples, like we did yesterday and are continuing to do. So that's something that I like to do when I really am just like, okay, I have to do something. What can I do? Those were really my 3 tips about what I personally do when I'm feeling stuck in a rut. Talk to other Scentsy brothers and sisters, talk to me, talk to your sponsor, talk to your downline, and just even saying, hey, what are you doing? What have you been doing lately? And that's helpful. So yeah, for sure. Or even, if you're struggling and you say to someone, what have you been struggling with? Or, what are you doing for your business? And then it kind of comes out. It helps you realize that, hey, there's other people doing this, and they're in the same arena that I'm in. They are out there sharing Scentsy, and we can do this together. So those are some things to do when you don't feel like doing anything, to help you get back motivated. And like I said, again, this might not be for you today. You can go ahead and earmark this for a time when you have that feeling. And I know that it'll be a feeling that quickly passes. Mine always passes quickly. And sometimes you do just need a short break. But sometimes, if you do something for your business every single day, that momentum is going to continue, and it's going to be better than stopping completely and trying to start up again. So that's what I have for today. I hope that you are having a great Friday and that you have a great weekend. Amazing job, everybody, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Hopefully you'll get on the Zoom tomorrow if you can. So I will hopefully see you then.